여러분 안녕하세요. 저는 gwen이라고 하고요. 오늘은 한국 명절에 대해 발표하겠습니다. 여러분 나라에도 특별한 명절 있습니까? 좋아하는 명절 있으세요? Hi everyone, my name is Gwen, and today I'm going to be talking about national holidays in South Korea, so I hope you enjoy. Okay, so first off, this is my reference list, just so you guys know that all of this information that I'm giving you is factual, and these are the sources which I pulled them from, and from my own experience with these holidays as well. Okay, so first we have New Year's Day. This is called 설날 in Korean. 설날 is on the first day of the lunar calendar year. So for us, for Westerners, I should say, we typically think of New Year's Day as January 1st, right? But when I was in Korea, our New Year's Day was actually in the middle of February, and that can change every year depending on the lunar calendar, which day it falls on that particular year. So the traditional dish that is usually eaten on this day is 떡국. 떡 is like rice cake, and then guk is like a soup. So it's kind of like rice cake soup that Koreans eat on this day. And actually, after you eat the rice cake soup, the whole country turns a year older at the same time. I'll let that sink in for a second. So everyone has birthdays, of course, but they don't necessarily turn a year older. They don't say, oh, now I'm 22 or whatever. Usually they just celebrate their birthday like normal, and then on the Lunar New Year, on 설날, the whole country ages 1 year. They all say, okay, now I'm 22, now I'm 45, you know. So this usually happens after they eat the 떡국, and they have a traditional bow called 절. So when you do 절, it is usually children or the younger generation bowing to the older generation and sort of giving them respect. So what you do is you put your hands like this, and you're just gonna bring your head to the floor, as you can see in the picture, and then the people that are sitting cross-legged are the ones that are being bowed to, and they are also the ones that are going to give money, typically to the people bowing. Another big part of this holiday is playing games. So games like Stop Go or Go Stop and Yunori are very frequently played on this holiday. So yeah. Buddha's birthday. In Korean, this is 부처님 오신 날, the day he came. So this is typically celebrated on the 4th month of the lunar calendar year. And again, we're in East Asia, so the lunar calendar year, that's going to come up a lot, which Westerners might not be used to. I know I for sure was not. So even though about 15 million people actively go to temples and pray to Buddha in South Korea, this holiday is for everyone, which is why it's a national holiday. So it's usually characterized by large, colorful lantern displays, as you can see in the picture, and people can write their wishes on the little tags attached to the lantern and light them up and send them up in the sky. Another cool thing about this holiday is children can actually they can do sort of like a day in the life of a Buddhist monk and actually have like a sort of experience. I don't want to say like field day, but like they can go to a Buddhist temple and spend a day and see how Buddhist monks live. Okay, Chuseok. Chuseok is often nicknamed Korean Thanksgiving because of its similarity to the Western holiday or the American Thanksgiving. It is basically a holiday for celebrating the good harvests of the year and for wishing for future good harvests. This date changes every year, but usually it's celebrated around September. I know when I was in Korea, it was in September. And then on this day, so families, again, it's just like Thanksgiving where all of your relatives come, even ones that you haven't seen in a long time, maybe even the whole year. They congregate usually at the grandparents' house, and then everyone eats the meal together, and then after the meal usually some families participate in a family worship service where the elders of the house will sort of hold this prayer service, reading from a Bible, gathering hands, things like that. And then at night, a traditional dance called gangangsule is performed by women and children. So obviously that's not super strict. Like I know when I went to my friend's house for Chuseok in Korea, like all of the guys got in and like started dancing too, because it's fun. Like the kids are laughing, you know. And so it's basically everyone gathers in a circle, and it's called like a circle dance. So you sort of run around in a circle and you sing this song, and it was really fun when I got to do it. Memorial Day, called Hyunchung-il. Hyunchung-il is celebrated on June 6th. And I'm careful with the word celebrated because it's really kind of an emotional day. It's used to honor people who served in the Korean War, and many of whom were forced to enlist because they still have in South Korea the mandatory military service. So they also remember the attack by North Korea on Seoul, the capital of South Korea, that killed nearly 7,000 soldiers. So every year on June 6th, there is a memorial service held at the Seoul National Cemetery, and typically the president of South Korea will attend this ceremony and speak. Children's Day, 어린이날. So 어린 is how you say young person or child in Korean, and then 날 is day, so 어린이날. And this date is actually super simple to remember because May is the 5th month and it's celebrated on the 5th day, so 5/5. And the interesting thing about this holiday was it was actually created in 1923 by a children's book author. So they wanted to recognize children for growing up well, which is super cute. And so the cool thing is parents actually get the day off work on this day to celebrate with the children in their life. And then there is free admission to a lot of different places that you can take kids. Amusement parks, zoos, museums, things like that. And then actually this holiday is praised for sort of giving children the opportunity to develop their sense of patriotism as well, because they're being officially recognized or acknowledged as people by their country. So that must feel so special, and it can help to develop sort of a sense of national pride within them at a young age. And then 3 days later, after 어린이날, is Parents' Day in South Korea. So the interesting thing is it's not like in the West where there's a separate Mother's Day and Father's Day. Actually, both of them are sort of smushed together in this Parents' Day holiday. And so on this day, children give their parents gifts separately to thank them for raising them well. Kind of cute. Christmas! Okay, everyone loves Christmas, I think. I think the only reason why people might give it a bad rap is because of the songs that come on in like September, right? So again, this is celebrated, of course, on December 25th, and there are lights everywhere in Korea. Of course, Christmas trees are still a very like Western practice or tradition, so they're not really that common in Korea, but they're getting more popular just because of Western influence. And also gift giving. The most popular gift is still money on Christmas, so they don't really do gift exchange unless it's for like a significant other maybe. The really, really strange thing when I was in Korea that I sort of felt was like I had to literally, other than the lights, I had to look around and think to myself like, is it really December 25th? Because I know my family really goes all out, you know, the whole town is decorated for Christmas. You can tell, like you would have to be ignoring everything to not realize it's the 25th, right? But yeah, in Korea, like you didn't really hear Christmas songs. And again, I lived in the countryside in Daegu, so it might be different in Seoul. Like if you go to the capital, I'm sure they have like big celebrations and things like that. But when I was in Daegu, I was just like, is it really Christmas? Like I don't feel the Christmas feeling like I did back home, which was a little bit sad, but One interesting thing about this holiday is, like I know back home in America, it's a family holiday. You're not supposed to even hang out with friends on that day. It's about being home, attending church maybe if you're religious, and then just sort of opening presents and spending the day with your family. In Korea, it's not like that at all. It's more about like a couple holiday, I would say. So everyone who's in a relationship goes out with their significant other on this day. They go to a cafe or like they just spend the day together. And one of my friends from Korea, actually, she was like making a joke because I told her Merry Christmas, and she answers me back, "What's so merry? I am single." So I think there's a certain maybe pessimism that some Koreans have as well associated with Christmas, just because they're like sort of conditioned to know that if you're single on Christmas, it might not be the most fun holiday. Korea might not be the best place to spend that holiday. Independence Movement Day. This is celebrated on March 1st because it commemorates the day that Koreans marched out into the streets and protested the Japanese colonialism in Korea. So that happened on March 1st, 1919, during their period of colonization. And so Koreans just marched out into the streets and they were waving their flags. And a fun fact is that when Japan was in Korea, took control over Korea, they actually made waving of the Korean flag sort of illegal because they wanted to control Korea. So these protests began with only about 33 people, and it grew to a whopping 2 million people that were just in the streets waving their flags proudly and doing over 1,500 demonstrations. I don't know if you got chills, but every time I think about this day, it just makes me feel so good that people are willing to they're willing to risk everything and stand up for what they believe is right. And I definitely think that Koreans love to exercise their right to protest. I know definitely they've had a lot of experience with protesting and having to fight for their democracy over the years. So when I was in Seoul, just visiting, there were still people protesting about the president that got impeached in like 2016, I believe, and got arrested. And there were people protesting like, let her out of jail, and I was just like, whoa, that's insane. But I'm going to read a couple facts for you here just about this holiday, just because I don't want to get it messed up. So this protest, again, it began with only 33 people, but in the end, it took Japan a whole year to stop the over 2 million Koreans that had participated in over 1,500 demonstrations. About 7,000 people were killed, and another 16,000 were wounded. Also, about 700 private houses, 40 churches, and a couple schools were burned to the ground. On top of these numbers, about 45,000 people were arrested. And then there's just a quote at the bottom of the screen. You can see 만세. 만세 means long live Korea. And people were just screaming that. That was sort of the phrase of the time. So 만세, long live Korea. So these numbers just absolutely move me because it really shows that Korean will and that during crisis that they're still there for each other and they're able to band together in this way to fight for what they believe in, which is incredible. And I think that we can all learn from something like this. So a quote comes to mind for me from the May 18 movie. It's called May 18, and it's about a different day, but the quote is, "You know what's stronger than guns? The people." And I just really like that, and that just stuck with me. And I think that's definitely a very Korean ideal as well. So, yes. National Liberation Day. Ooh, this is another little heavy one. So in Korean, it's called 광복절, and it's celebrated on August 15th every year. And this is the day that Japan left Korea in 1945. after their period of imperialism. So it's kind of emotional because in the Korean, like 광복절, it literally translates to the day the light returned. So 광 means like light in Chinese characters, and then bok means like to return or go back to something, and then 절 is like day, season, period. Yeah, so since the Japanese period of colonization or colonialism was before Korea was split into North and South Korea, this is actually one of the very few holidays that both North and South Korea acknowledge. So they both celebrate it on August 15th, and usually the president of South Korea attends an official performance of the National Liberation Song on this day, and every Korean home has a taegugi. Taegugi is the name for the Korean flag. So every home you can see a Korean flag at, which is really nice to see as well. All right, are you guys ready for a bit of a strange holiday? So this is called Foundation Day, which is Gaechonjeol in Korean, Gaechonjeol, and it's celebrated on October 3rd every year. So this marks the beginning of Korean society in the Joseon Dynasty in 2333 BC. And this guy that you can see in the picture on the left here is Hangul. Hangul is believed to be the first leader of Korea, and he served for more than 1,000 years. So if you can tell by the number of years, and if you can kind of do the math and see, okay, maybe this is a myth, there are a lot of Korean people that genuinely believe that Hangul lived that long, but there are, again, a lot of people that can understand that this is a myth, and that this figure might have been real, but it's the story of how he came about is really interesting. So you might be wondering why he's pictured with a tiger and a bear, right? So there's a really cool story behind it, but basically Hangul is the son of a god and a bear woman. Okay, so he was the product of the bear and a god getting freaky, I guess. So Hangul, the reason why he's so respected in Korea is because he gave Koreans the gift of art, medicine, and agriculture, and he's actually the one that is known for giving Koreans their code of ethics that they still live by today. So being kind to others, things like that. So this is a day of huge national pride in Korea, especially because it's the Foundation Day, the day that they can be proud that Koreans came about, right? So usually there's fireworks in Seoul, and then some Koreans that feel really strongly about this holiday actually even travel to China to visit, to be able to see Mount Baekdu. So Baekdu-san, san means mountain in Korean. So Baekdu-san is actually located on the border between China and North Korea. And this is it's thought to be the beginning of Korea as we know it now. But because of the conflicts with North Korea at the moment, Koreans have to travel through China to be able to see Mount Baekdu. Hangul Day! Of course, my favorite Korean holiday is Hangul Day. So Hangul 날 is what it's called, and this is celebrated on October 9th of every year. And of course, I already told the whole story about King Sejong, but until the year 1443, Koreans used Chinese characters to communicate Korean sounds, and it just wasn't really working. So King Sejong thought, okay, we need our own alphabet, right? We're our own country, we need our own way to write. So he created the linguist competition, which was basically a national thing to create a simple alphabet. And someone came up with this, and this holiday is just in recognition and appreciation of the Korean alphabet of Hangul. And I think it's probably one of the only nations in the world that has a separate holiday to celebrate their alphabet. So on this day, most people go to the King Sejong Museum, which is located, if you look at the picture on the left, it's located right underneath this statue in Seoul. So if you just find this statue, then you're very close to the King Sejong Hangul Museum. Okay, that's all I have for you for this video. Which holiday would you like to experience? Let me know down in the comments below. Let me know if there's anything else that you'd like me to cover, if you'd like to learn about. Please like this video, share this video, subscribe, of course, for more content in the future. And I will see you in the next video. 다음에 봐요.